My coworkers complained for weeks that I was the only one leaving at 4 p.m., so I agreed to 9 to 5 and management removed flexi time for all of us. I worked in a fairly large office with multiple departments, and each department could choose whether to use flexi time. The only requirement was that everyone had to be present during core hours, which were 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The phone lines were open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and as long as there was proper coverage during those hours, management didn't mind how people structured the rest of their day. I lived the furthest away from the office, so after checking with my manager, I arranged to work 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It meant I could avoid the worst of the rush hour traffic and get home at a reasonable time. From a business point of view, it worked perfectly. I covered the phones from 8 to 9 when most others hadn't arrived yet, and there was always someone staying later in the afternoon. I worked those hours for nearly 4 years without a single complaint. Then I transferred to a different department. Even though the office was open until 6 p.m. and there was always phone coverage until at least 5, my new coworkers decided they didn't like that I was the only one leaving at 4. It didn't increase their workload, it didn't cause missed calls, and it didn't delay any deadlines. It simply didn't look fair to them that one person left earlier than everyone else. They began complaining regularly to the department manager. To his credit, he tried to find compromises. He offered to let others leave early on certain days. He suggested creating a rota. He reminded them that flexi time existed specifically to allow people to manage their schedules differently. None of those options satisfied them. They didn't actually want to leave early themselves, they just didn't want me to. Eventually, my manager admitted he was getting tired of defending something that had worked perfectly well. I asked whether I could transfer again to another department that didn't mind my hours. That's when he told me something interesting. The company was planning to relocate offices as part of a cost-cutting measure, and the new building would be much closer to where I live, close enough that I could walk. At that point, working 9 to 5 wouldn't inconvenience me much at all. So I asked him to keep holding off their complaints for 2 weeks, because I had an idea. A team meeting was called to resolve the issue of working hours. I let my coworkers speak first. They talked about fairness, teamwork, and everyone being aligned. When the moment felt right, I calmly said that if it would make things smoother, I was willing to switch to 9 to 5. They agreed immediately. Then I added that since their main concern was that I was the only one working different hours, perhaps the simplest solution would be for all of us to move to 9 to 5 and remove flexi time entirely. That way, no one would be treated differently, and we would all truly work the same schedule. They enthusiastically agreed again. My manager, who already knew about the upcoming relocation, confirmed that flexi time would be removed for our department starting the next day. The timing made it particularly satisfying. A major international sporting tournament was taking place overseas, and because of the time difference, several matches were airing in the morning UK time. My coworkers had been using flexi time to watch those games and then arrive at work at 10 a.m. Under a strict 9 to 5 structure, someone now had to cover the phones from 9 to 10 every morning. I gently reminded them that I had been handling that hour alone since joining the team. There was a noticeable silence. I also mentioned that since I would no longer be leaving early, I would stop working through my lunch break. I had been doing that voluntarily so they could enjoy longer lunch periods while watching matches on the big screen in the conference room. With fixed hours, I would now be taking my full break like everyone else, which meant those extended viewing sessions would be cut short. Another detail they hadn't fully considered was that I had been using the quiet 8 to 9 a.m. window to process and sign off payments from the previous day. Without that early start, those tasks would now roll into the regular workday, adding pressure to already busy mornings. The backlog the next day made that reality clear. 2 weeks later, the relocation was officially announced. The new office was within comfortable walking distance of my home. Losing flexi time barely affected me at all. For everyone else, however, it meant the loss of flexibility they had quietly enjoyed. They wanted everyone to work the same hours, and in the end, that's exactly what happened.